Gold and silver have been up over 50% the last 2 years. Does that mean we should invest in that? That's going to be our topic today on Friends Talk Financial Planning. Hi, I'm John Scherer, and I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin.
And I'm Bridget Sullivan Mermel, and I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois. So, John, the numbers are pretty high for gold and silver. And so what we want to talk about today is, should we invest in that? And so I'm going to put up on the screen the latest with gold and silver. So
That's
here
great.
is what the latest is.
I know we've been getting some questions on this, and especially with the uncertain times, right? Like what's going on,
Right.
Hey, does this make sense? Gold and silver is tangible, right? So it feels real. And this is a great chart right here. This is why, right?
Right, exactly. And so so first of all, we want to look at the dates. So the date here is March 23rd, which is really when the stock market was at a bottom, and then through the end of the year. So today we're filming this. This goes through November 13th, so the end of last week. And so when you see this, you can see, gee whiz, they all started here. And then on the right side, it says the percentage that each type has gone up. And you can see we've got gold is up 25%, but gosh, silver is up over 75%. And stocks, the red is S&P and the blue is the Dow Jones. You can just take those as one line, and I might even have those two mixed up. But the stocks are somewhere in the middle. So this
Bridget,
says, do we want silver?
Where were you in July? That's my birthday. I knew I should have gone to silver back then.
Yeah,
What the
right.
heck?
I know, really. Who knew? Like, yeah, let's go back to here. So I think, I've done some research on this. It's interesting because there is some studies that say, gee whiz, gold, there's always something about gold that people come back to. So is that a really better investment than the stock market? And there's been some exhaustive studies. I'll put a link to it in our YouTube channel. And the studies seem to indicate that there is some link. They try to link it back to things like how much did bread cost in what were Roman soldiers' salaries? So they try to link it back to things like that. So how and versus, okay, Roman soldiers, roughly how much a police officer makes now, and how much does the associated bread cost, and is there some correlation? And there is some correlation, but over the time when they try to correlate, is gold going up versus the stock market, and which is better, the things kind of fall apart. So gold definitely maintains some of its value. It's always kind of around, and people have liked it. So I can see why people like gold. But when you compare it to the stock market, there's no correlation, and it doesn't add value. It doesn't grow at any kind of the rate that the stock market does over time.
That's the thing that really strikes me about investing in metals, right? Typically we think gold, but silver, I mean, it's a viable place to be, but it's a store of wealth, right? It doesn't do anything. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I think about with gold, Warren Buffett in his annual letter to investors, this is maybe 5 or 7 years ago now, he had a really great analogy, and I'm gonna get it exactly, the specifics wrong, but he said, listen, you could buy, if you took all the gold in the world, it would fit like inside a basketball stadium. It was kind of crazy when you think about how small all the gold in the world really is. And he said you could choose to own all the gold in the world, or for that same amount of value, you could choose to own like 3 Exxon Mobils and 5, General Electrics and some other, the entire company 3, 4, 5 times over, plus all the cropland in the United States and everything that all those companies and everything that would produce over the next 20 years. And like, what do you want? You want this, this big cube of metal, right? Very precious metal, but still a cube of metal versus all the production and innovation and growth and food and things that are going to come from those things. And for me, when you put it in those terms, like, what does it do for you? Like, golly, of course, all the companies and the cropland and all these things are going to produce a lot more. It's so much more reliable to quantify as opposed to the store of value. And so
Right,
that was really powerful for me. And then the other thing, and I think we've got another slide on it here, is that when you look long term, like this is, this what one time period, but over time,
right,
the value, when you just make the comparison, and we don't invest like, listen, I don't know what's going to happen in the next year or 2 years or 3 years, but I got a very high level of confidence that in 10 years and in 20 years in our investing lifetimes that, stocks are going to produce, companies are going to produce value as an investor. And this talks about that, right? This historical view on things.
right, exactly. So historically, gee whiz, at gold, silver seemed to do really well in 2011. Gold has had certain times where it's done really well. Uh, and now you can see here it's doing well. But geez, the stock market looks like it's up almost 1,000% in the last 30 years. And silver, it's having a run right now. And so it looks like it's up 500%, and gold's at about 250. So gold and silver definitely are keeping pace with inflation. That's good. But they're not, they're not something that people can add value to. There's no human ingenuity involved in uh, gold or silver, except for ways to try to convince people to buy it. So I say you don't invest in gold, you speculate on gold, but not that nobody ever makes money on speculation. So,
That's right. No, I agree
so
with you. That reminds me, Bridget, of why I talk with folks. Like I like to go to the casino and play a dice table, and of course I give more money than I take out of there. But I win sometimes, right? Like it's not like I
right,
never win. If I never won, nobody ever go back to the thing. Well, you can't do it, but of course, gambling is the blackjack table or whatnot. It's not a reliable way to make money. Not that you can't make money doing these things, but
right.
when we talk about stuff, it's like, listen, what's the reliable, predictable, high odds things to do over time? And I like your point that there's some attractiveness or some historical, and listen, to have some money in gold, some small percentage, and because it feels good, nothing wrong with that. But like the bulk of the money is invested in a diversified portfolio. That's where the smart money goes, right?
Yeah, I lived in San Francisco for a time, and I've always been kind of interested in the prospectors. And so, when you look at the prospectors, most of them didn't make money, but the people who reliably made money were the suppliers. So,
Uh,
and the
yeah,
place that is known for supplying the gold prospectors is Levi's. Levi's, we still wear Levi's today.
interesting.
So that to me shows the difference between human innovation versus gold.
Yeah,
So that's interesting. So all this being said, some people, we can't discount the emotional side of money, and
that's right.
that it is nice to have money contribute to your sense of well-being. So if taking 1 to 2% of your portfolio, converting it to gold and putting it as safe in your house makes you feel safer at night and secure, I'm not against that.
Yeah, yeah. That,
My
that exactly. That's not wrong, right? It's just not
Right,
like
exactly.
this is the key
Don't
to wealth or success. Like no,
Right, exactly. Don't
yeah,
do it for
yeah.
investment purposes. Do it because it makes you feel better. But think it through. So
I
small coins
oh
are
yeah,
going to be better because if we're thinking of we're going apocalyptic now, right?
right.
So small coins are going to be more like you don't want to take a gold. What are you going to do with a gold bar
Right.
if
Slice
all
off little
hell is breaking?
slivers of
Right,
gold bar,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, and so small coins are going to be more portable. It's also gold is heavy, so you want to. That's another argument for small coins because it's going to be more portable and easier to sew into the lining of your coat if you're
Yeah,
trying to head to the border.
right.
So again, I know that sounds crazy, but you're thinking it through will help again for that emotional what you're trying to get out of it is emotional. So think it through.
That's great. That's a great advice. And you think about like a brick of
It's
gold, right? I
funny,
think
but
about that.
yeah,
And then what you connected to, and what I was going to say, like my takeaway is to when you hear about various things, and gold and silver are one of them, like, oh, this is a time to do this. It's think about the practical, like think about the data. I look at what we've got on the screen here. I'm
right,
like, oh, what is the actual data? Yeah, it sounds good, but what's the context? And to make sure you have the information so you can match up the information with your feelings and emotions, right? I think those are
right.
both two important sides. And then the other thing is like the practical, what you just said. I mean, it sounds kind of funny, really, what you can put in your pocket, but like, what's the gold going to do for you? If we go, it's like literally, how do you use that, right? Like think to the next level. That's really great, usable information for people that do want to have that be part of their portfolio. And
Yeah.
so,
So
yeah,
I think this is a good time to wrap it up.
super.
John and I are both members of ACP, or the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners, which is a not-for-profit group of fee-only financial planners who all share the same philosophy of comprehensive financial planning. If you're interested in ACP, or the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners, check out ACP. What's that website again?
It's AC
acplanners.org.
Planners, Alliance of Comprehensive Planners, acplanners.org.
And
Um,
if you're interested in helping us, hit that subscribe button and subscribe.
that's right. The more subscribers we have, the higher up we go on the search rankings, and it helps other people come and find out this information. So thanks so much. And until next time, Bridget.
Thanks, John.